Welcome to another week of Redding's Corner. I have a special guest today, hence the change of location. Today, we're going to talk to you guys about transitioning from college to career. Please welcome my husband, Stephen.
All right, I think I might just let it hang. Does it look crazy like that?
Kinda.
Okay.
Sure does. Can't you do this? No, I can't edit with you sitting up like that.
Or you can move the camera out some. Gracious. Yo, you can move it out a little bit. It's the same picture. Same picture.
Can we start?
Yes, I'm waiting on you.
Okay, you good?
Wonderful. Good evening.
For those of you who may be new to my channel or living under a rock, I haven't heard me speak about Stephen. Stephen and I met in 2011, and then we got married this past September. We've been married a couple months now. It's the best decision of his life.
Yours.
So I would like to think that Stephen and I are pretty successful after graduating from college. If you can't tell which colleges so we attended, one of us attended a prestigious HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
I still rep my school proudly.
Mm-hmm. PWI is not.
Okay. After college, I would say that we both are pretty successful in our own definition of success. So hopefully this video, you'll get a couple of tips on if you're just graduating from college, looking to get into your career, or these tips could even be used for if somebody is looking for a new job in a different career field, right? Would you say?
Very true.
But before we get into this video, you know what we're about to ask you to do. Make sure you like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe.
Do all of that. I hope you like the video. So first I want to start with asking Steph, tell us a little bit about the college you attended.
Okay.
And what you majored in.
As she stated, I went to an illustrious HBCU, the Morgan State University. I graduated in 2011 with my bachelor's in electrical engineering.
So from 2011 to 2020, so 9 years, did you see yourself where you are now 9-10 years ago?
Not exactly, but kind of. You know, I saw myself in a management position with the company, but I didn't know that I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now and actually like managing people and everything like that. I thought I would be managing contracts and stuff like that, money contracts, not contracts with people on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Didn't know I was going to be doing this exactly. You know, electrical engineering usually leads to design jobs, IT management, federal government jobs, working for DOD, stuff like that. But I didn't see myself in the construction management, project management field 9 years ago.
So tell the people what it is that you do. I don't want to be said that.
Right. So right now I'm assistant construction services manager. So what I do is, you know, I manage about 15 people, and that makes up our Baltimore office. Most of the people that I manage are inspectors, office engineers, senior office engineers, those type of things. And we have a lot of rail and transit contracts, a lot of MDOT, MDTA, MTA contracts, a lot of road work, road rehabilitation, 695, 95, 895. But I really did not see myself doing that 9 years ago, honestly.
So in high school, they tell you, pick your major wisely. You know, there's those majors out there that have the stipulation of, oh, that major's not going to make you a lot of money.
Right.
The stipulation around engineering, like anything in engineering, is you're automatically going to make a lot of money when you graduate. So did you make a lot of money when you graduated?
I mean, it's relative, really. It's relative to what you consider a lot of money. You know, the stipulation about engineers coming out of schools, you're gonna make about $60,000 coming out. You know, and that's like if you finish in 4 years instead of 5. That's if you were, close to the top of your class. That's if you get with a reputable, firm, and that's also if you have experience. You'll have a leg up if you had internships and those type of things. But I came out just under 60,000. So for accounting majors and business majors, communications majors, that's a lot of money. They're coming out at probably
I
about
sure didn't
40,000.
come out at 60,000.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're probably coming out at like between anywhere between 30 and 50,000. And another difference is a lot of internships that have to do with engineering are paid internships.
60,000 was a lot for your first job outside of like once you graduated.
Right, but I also had to fight for my salary because there were people that were coming in. They were trying to lowball me with the same amount of people, with the same people that were coming in without any internship experience. So I had to negotiate. I went back to the people that were hiring me because I interned with them for 3 years. I was actually working on real projects. I wasn't just filing and going to meetings and doing meeting minutes like a lot of interns do in our realm, but I was actually working on real projects. So as soon as I graduated, they picked me up. I was blessed, and they did try to lowball me. I went back and negotiated with them because I'm like, hey, like I've been here for 3 years, and as soon as you guys hire me, you don't have to train me. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and you're probably going to throw me like 1 or 2 more projects to work. And I don't feel that that's the same as somebody that's coming out of college green with no experience here, who you're going to have to train, and it's going to take them about 3 to 6 months to start doing what I've already been doing before they officially hire me.
So regardless of a person's major or what they're studying in college, would you recommend doing an internship if it is available to them?
Yes. No matter what you do, if you can get the experience before you get out of college or before you graduate, then I would highly, highly suggest it. Even if it's not paid, get the experience, because a lot of times what, people my age, even just out of college, have ran into, and people that are still in college are going to run into, are companies wanting experience when you're entry level. Or they say we want you to have 1 or 2 years experience for this entry level position, and it's kind of contradictory, but anything that you can do before you graduate to gain experience in whatever career field you want to go into, I highly, highly suggest it. It's going to help.
That's a good note for entrepreneurs or anyone out there who owns a small business. If you don't necessarily have the funds to grow your staff, but you still need help, you could go the internship route where they're gaining experience and gaining college credit. I can link below different websites that you could use as a small business owner to find interns in your area. Okay, really short story. His first job is
we met when I was in school.
So you were interning at Reagan, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was still interning.
So when Stefan and I met, he was still in school. Well, technically I was still in school too. I just took a break. He was still in school. And so his internship was at Reagan, where he later got a job. And I utilized that to park and go out in the city. I would park at Reagan Airport. If you're not familiar with DC, Reagan National Airport is right outside of DC.
Yeah, Crystal City.
Yes, it's right in Crystal City. And going out in DC, like finding parking and having to like parallel park was... So we used to park at Steph's job and then go out in the city. And we used to always go to Stadium.
Yeah. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to Daryl. You know what I'm saying? Morgan crew.
It's so sad because we used to go to Stadium all the time, but I don't remember tipping. I don't remember tipping shippers. No. Did you used to tip?
No, because we knew them all. Me, Rich, Jay, and Daryl, we knew them all. It was crazy. But we was in Stadium. I just wanted you to know we was in Stadium.
Lord
6 o'clock.
Yeah, for happy hours. A shout out to Jaff. Jaff and I used to go on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, they used to have open bar. until like 9 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah, that's where they really did it. That Rich put me on. They really did it every day. They only advertised it on certain days. But every day, if you come in there at 6 o'clock, pay your little $10, you drink till 9, open bar.
DC used to be lit. I don't know what happened. I mean, I'm sure it is for this next generation. But
right. Yeah.
So we just like aged out. All right. So you mentioned that you had to negotiate, you had to fight for your salary. Do you have any, like, what are your negotiation strategies, and do they apply across the board, or is it really dependent on what they're trying to give you?
I would say it's situational, but there are a lot of like the same things that matter. Like the biggest being experience. Like if it's going to be very hard to negotiate a higher anything if you don't have anything to prove it. When I say that, I mean if you don't have the proper experience, if you weren't highly recommended by your other managers, if you didn't make a significant impact, made the company money, saved the company money in a significant way, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to fight for any type of salary. So my technique across the board is to let my work talk for itself, and being able to prove why I am worth what I'm asking for. That's what matters. But it's very situational because every job is different.
Right.
Managers are different. The setup structure is different. So you have to take all of those things into mind and into account.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I think that a lot of times what I've noticed, even with doing hiring, women are afraid to negotiate. I think that like it's easy, like you said, to like know your worth and like know what you bring to the table and negotiate that. Have you ever afraid to like, oh, maybe I shouldn't ask for this much? Or
sometimes I was, but like again, it was situational. Like if I knew I was worth more and I knew I could bring more to the table than what they were paying across the board, or if they're just saying like, hey, this is the standard, this is what we bring people in at, and I'm just like, no, like my experience exceeds that, and this is why.
How was your transition from going to school full time to now you're working full time?
This is two parts. So the transition is not easy. My transition was easy because my team that I transitioned into, I had been working with for 3 years. You see what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So only thing was, instead of working 20 hours a week there and 20 hours a week at financial aid and still having a full schedule to try to graduate and finish this out, it was just, I was going to work and going home.
Right.
Like the stress was less. I would say that the stress was less. I had a lot more time on my hands, but the transition for me wasn't hard at all. Like all the relationships, like the things that are difficult for a transition, like relationships and accountability and feedback and stuff like that, they just weren't difficult for me because I was already receiving those things. I already knew my team. I was already comfortable with my team, and they were already comfortable with me. So I didn't experience a lot of things that a lot of people have and will experience when they transition from college into the workforce. Like relationships are different. In college, you're friends with who you want to be friends with, and the professional world, it's more strategic, I would say, because you may need to form a relationship with people that you may not be used to forming friendships with. People that, I wouldn't hang
Like
with
your
this
office
person. I
friends.
wouldn't like, what I mean? Yeah, and even if people that you blatantly don't like, but this person could have an impact on your success at the company. So I'm not saying be fake. I'm not saying, be phony, but relationships.
Professionally courteous.
Right. That's very important.
Yeah.
And professional relationships are not about your friends. It's not about who I would hang with outside of work, because this is not about fun anymore. Like this is about affecting the economy, the world. This is about making a difference and making an impact in a professional way, so you have to think differently about the relationships that you have, even if it's somebody that, you can't stand. If this is a person that could help you get to the next stage or help you do what you ultimately want to do, then you may need to, put that personal to the side and use that, relationship for what it's for.
I know I struggled with this. I struggled with this when I was at the Army. I was too friendly. So like I mixed friends and coworkers and oversharing and going to happy hours and going to with my coworkers that I also managed. So like I was a team lead, but I was also I talked about this in another Red Ink video that I will tag below. But so there is like a fine line, and now I feel like I've learned my lessons from that office where you can be professionally courteous without over exerting yourself and being too friendly, or like you said, being fake or being like trying to be friendly to somebody who you don't want to be friendly with. But it's important to identify people in the office that you could, I was going to say people in the office that you could use. That's not really the
but you have to be strategic. That's important. That's what you have to say. You have to be strategic, because once you graduate, there's no more college loans coming through, and you got to pay them joints back, like, and they want their money fast, and you have to, you have to be strategic about your career and your future, because it's on you at that point. A lot of people don't have mentors. I would suggest if you can find a mentor, especially in college, or even if you have one before college, and you really understand what a mentor is and what a mentor can do, I would suggest that everybody have a mentor. I just found my mentor this year. Terribly excited.
And my recommendation to tag along with Steph's relationships and being strategic is, even when you leave a job and you built those relationships, don't let go of those relationships. Don't let them fizzle out. You never know when you have to go back to a position, or if someone at a different job started a new company, or they got a higher position at a different company and can pull you over. So that's why I, like my last video, I say to utilize sites like LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is an excellent tool to keep in contact with old colleagues or older mentors that you may have had on other jobs.
Right.
I think it's important to not only build those relationships, but try to maintain those relationships. Not like, text the person every day, but
Very
do you do
true.
that?
Very true. Yes and no. Yes, I do keep in contact with my old coworkers, but
because we still hang out with the Reagan.
With the Reagan crew, because I invest in people, so if I'm keeping in contact with old colleagues and people that I work with, like I'm able to call them, they're able to call me. It's not necessarily like a LinkedIn thing. That'll be more like a formal, they got a new job, so I liked it just to let them know I saw that they got a new job on LinkedIn or whatever the case may be. But my old colleagues, like, it's direct connection, and like that's also important for me, because like if the relationship isn't like that, then like I don't feel like I can really count on you. Like, it is almost always more beneficial than not to be blessed enough to know somebody that can help you or propel your career, help you get to the next step, help you with a job if you get laid off, because the consulting world, layoffs happen a lot. It's a lot more risk being a consultant. We're both consultants, but it's a lot more risk being a consultant, because if there's no projects, if there's no work, if there's no money, if there's no budget, and you're a billable employee, then that means that you're susceptible to get let go. And that happens like night and day in the consulting world. If you would like more stability, more security, you become an employee. You work for the company or work on the owner side or get a federal government position and not a consultant position and stuff like that, and be somewhere where you can, work for 20, 30 years and retire. That's not necessarily the culture anymore, but it's still very doable. You can be successful if you find a job and excel in that job. But the money's going to come a lot slower than moving around or being a consultant.
So if you, on your current role, was doing hiring and college student resume roles on your desk, aside from internship, what else would you like to see on their resume?
And my position that I have now is like the first position where I'm dealing with resumes in this sense that Mo was talking about. And community involvement is very important to me, and to the company that I work for. We're a very diverse company. We're in the community. We do a lot of different events in the company, food drives. We're doing Thanksgiving baskets that we're taking donations and stuff for right now. So like community involvement to me is important because on paper it's hard to tell the character of a person, even when you talk to them, even if you go through the interview process, because if you are smart, you have studied on how to interview and how to answer these questions, and it's very professional. You go into an interview trying to get the job, not trying to convince your boss. Well, I guess trying to get the job is in a way trying to convince your new boss that you are, worth it.
The best fit for the position.
Right. But I still feel like there is a difference. Like me, I would look for, genuine realness. I'll try to get past the, professional stuff, the resume stuff, boilerplate stuff as fast as I can to try to get to the real person. You see what I mean? Because the best fit for what I'm looking for may not have been the A student. You see what I mean? It may have been the B student that went out of their way, to do what they need to do, or have the character that I'm looking for, or have the like willingness to go above and beyond to get the job done. And that's really what matters in this industry. That's a very, very very important other point. I would say, there's a lot of professional certifications that can propel you in your career,
Especially as a federal government contractor.
Yes, yes. So we got project management, we got the PMP, accounting, we got the CPM. In my field, we have the CCM, which is Certified Construction Manager. So these are all things that pretty much will guarantee you six figures.
With experience. Guarantee you six figures with experience. These tips are all over the place.
You can come in with the certifications and your master's degree and PhD and all of the theory, but without application, it's still not as valuable as somebody that's already been in the industry. That's why certifications are important, and certifications are looked at nowadays just as highly as degrees are looked at. Like you can come out of high school, start working in the construction industry. You're going to be in the field. You're going to be either an inspector or a laborer, coming out. But if you get 8 years in instead of a degree in 4 years, you can get your CCM. And now you're guaranteed six figures without college, without having, possible six figures worth of debt after 4 years, and that's another thing I kind of wanted to touch on. There's a lot of different ways to be successful in a technical career, and it doesn't always happen with college, but you have to have the mindset that you don't want to be a laborer or an inspector or in the field your entire career. Like you have to have the mindset like, hey, I don't have the money to go to college, but I'm gonna grind these 4 years out, get to where I need to be after 4 years, be 4 years in a more significant management position, and then I go get my certification, and now I'm out of the field. There's a lot of different ways to be successful in a technical career, and a 4-year institution is not always the best fit for everybody.
And to caveat with that, even if you have to take an entry-level job, or if you're in the fields, or if you're on a construction site, 9 times out of 10, well, I'm not going to speak for all companies, but most of the time, the company will pay for your certification. So instead of like schools where you have to take out student loans, to do your certification, you probably just have to pay for it up front, and the company will reimburse you, or the company will pay for it if you pass. So that's always a plus.
Very true.
People who are changing careers could also use this piece of advice.
Yes, that's very true. And also the technical field is very, very broad. You know, with engineering, you can do, you know, design, consulting, general contracting, you know, federal government. I mean, whether it's just the opportunities are vast, you know.
If you're newly graduating, or for anyone really out there, my recommendation would to be my recommendation okay, let me get it out. Whew. All right, so we have reached the end of our video
for this week. I did decide to split this up into 2 parts, so stay tuned for next week.
So hopefully you learned a thing or two about how to transition successfully from college or from your career into a new career. Hopefully you learned a couple of things from us.
Right. A little bit of advice.
Just a little bit. If you appreciated this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it. If you did not appreciate this video, please message me and let me know what type of videos you'd like to see. Have a wonderful weekend.